Hello everyone, welcome to the Culinary Voice. Please welcome Chef Emmanuel.
How you doing? Welcome.
Good, how are you?
Good, good. Glad to have you here.
Yes, thank you so much for having me here. So, you're originally from Mexico City, right?
Correct.
So, tell me about that. Let's go back in time a little bit and talk about your journey on how you came to Houston.
I don't remember much about my time in Mexico. I migrated to the States when I was 9 years old.
Okay.
Most of my recent memories were here in Houston. So I've always struggled growing up with an identity crisis.
Right.
I always felt I was more belonging to the States than I was to Mexico. Unfortunately, that's not how politics operate. So I was always labeled as a Mexican. And it wasn't until I actually was able to afford to file for paperwork and green cards that I was able to go back in my late teens, kind of rediscover or revisit early childhood memories. But yeah, I was born in Mexico, but I'm very much in my heart and my mind, memories, good, bad. I'm a Houstonian at heart.
Okay.
I think that's what makes what we do here at Tatemo very special, that we're able to balance both cultures and respect both of them at the same time and just kind of merge them together.
No, definitely. I relate to that for sure. I was born here in the States, but my parents are also immigrants. So there's always like a little bit of an identity crisis going up because you're kind of bouncing back between both of the cultures, and you don't want to be as Americanized, or people portray you a certain way, and they also look at the color of your skin, and you want to have a sense of belonging, but it's really hard to find. But I guess as we grow up, I guess it's a lot easier than when you're a lot younger.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
And a lot has to do with support systems and research and learning and just being comfortable in your own skin. We live in a generation now where it's more people are starting to accept the reality of things, and America is composed of different small communities of different cultures.
For sure.
There's no hiding it, right?
Yeah.
So now more than ever, it's more beautifully accepted to be from where you're from and be proud of that.
Without a filter. That's
Absolutely,
basically how it is. Yeah.
You be who you are, and
Yeah.
the world will take care of you. The community
Absolutely.
will take care of you.
Yeah. So how long have you been in Houston?
I've been in Houston since the age of 9. I just turned 34.
Okay.
Doing the math, that's basically my entire life.
Wow. So when you came here first, how was your life like? What made you kind of go into this route, and how was the journey transitioning into this industry? How was that for you?
The restaurant industry kind of chose me. I didn't choose it. My parents started working in a restaurant when we migrated to the States. At that time, those were the only jobs available to immigrants. Because we didn't have much family members here, we were kind of just stuck, my sister and me, kind of just following them after school, in between switching turns and whatnot. So I basically grew up in the industry, I remember have early memories of going to a Tex-Mex restaurant and just sitting there waiting for my mom to get off until like 8:30 at night, just seeing people fill the chips, tasting salsas. You hear the ring bell when the enchiladas were
food
coming
running.
up. Food running, screaming, the radio, the TVs, the families, the margaritas, all of that.
Yeah.
Kind of just grew up in that environment. So I just kind of gravitated me towards.
Okay, so you started off as serving.
I started as a dishwasher.
Okay.
And then busboy, and then prep, and then eventually I was old enough to be able to hold a knife and work full time. Kind of started working on the line around the age of 16, 17, but my family didn't migrate or immigrated to the States for me to end up working at a Tex-Mexican restaurant. They wanted more for us, so
Absolutely.
it was very taboo at the moment
Yeah.
for me to even think about picking up a knife or seasoning a piece of chicken.
Right.
So it was very much, I was like the black sheep of the family. Like, you need to go to school, you need to be a translator, be a teacher, a lawyer, a doctor, do anything you want with your
Something
life.
more traditional and something more,
Absolutely.
I guess, that had a nicer label, which doesn't really exist, but I do understand.
Yeah, especially
yeah.
back then. We're talking about 12, 13 years ago.
Right.
Working in kitchens is not what it is now.
Right.
There was no Top Chef. There was no celebrity chefs. There was no Instagram. There was no Facebook. There weren't these big awards being sought out. There weren't people like you doing cool things like this to highlight businesses. It was very just black and white. You worked in the kitchen, you were either a convict or you probably didn't have any studies, and probably didn't speak English or anything like that, so we just stuck working the long hard shifts.
So what was it that told you that, no, like, I definitely want to do this? I mean, you were very young and you kind of worked your way up, which is incredible. And I'm so proud to hear that now we're sitting in your restaurant.
Yeah.
Must be such a full circle moment. But was there a particular moment in that time that told you that, like, your heart told you, no, like, this is what you want, this is what you're going to do?
I don't think I've ever gotten that moment in my life. It was more of my upbringing of, as an immigrant, you're very good at transitions and challenges.
Hustling.
Yeah, you just adapt. There's no other way. You know, you taken away from everything you've known and put into a whole new environment. And cooking was very much like that. So it was each kitchen, as simply as it seems, to just feed people. Each kitchen that I worked at was very differently, with different people, different cultures, different standards. And that intrigued me a lot. That made me feel very much at home.
Yeah.
Just the switching of commands and spaces and people. It intrigued me a lot to just keep going and keep learning. Because I didn't have the papers or the needs to go to Africa or go to New Zealand and try this.
Do a cool internship or anything,
But working along with people from those countries enlightened me and opened my eyes to a bigger world than Houston and then Mexico. And that was very addicting to me. That was definitely something that kept me going. And at some point, it just became a career and a passion, and I fell in love with it.
Right. So along this way, were there any people in particular that served as your mentors, people that came across your way and you were like, no, I want to be like them in this industry?
There's been a few people that definitely have big brother me.
Yeah.
They're all very, out of the few, I have like 4 chefs that I still to this day can call and ask for advice. And they're all very different from each other. And I never wanted to be like them. I wanted to be the opposite from them and be my own. But there were definitely people to guide me. And in this industry is very, very cutthroat. You need people to guide you and listen to you and advise you and tell you and hold you accountable more than anything. Because I think that's where we miss that a lot. Being held accountable for mistakes or fuck ups or anything like that. So Haitham was one of them. I have a chef Ashley, Chef Dana, just strong females in the industry who knew what they wanted. They worked hard for their titles. They're incredible mentors and slowly became friends. And to this day, I still hold dear to those people. To this day, they're still my chefs. You know, it's not the other way around.
Yeah. Are they here in Houston?
They are. Yeah.
Wow.
I try to keep in touch with them as much as possible.
Oh, that's so cool.
They're a lot older now. They're not cooking as much, but there's definitely friendships there that I hold dear.
And this restaurant, how long ago did you start this? What's the story of this place, of Tatemo?
The place here, the physical restaurant, we're going in 2 years. Okay. But the actual vision and the business model was created almost 3 during the pandemic, when we were selling masa and tortillas to family and friends. We've always had the idea of opening a restaurant. We just didn't really know how that would look like.
Right.
Obviously, as hopefully most 80% of the people, or at least or more, of the culinaries or industry folks want to open their own thing at some point. So they envision a restaurant. We didn't have an actual vision. It was very much, let's take it day by day. Let's figure out who we are as people. Let's figure out what we can do, what we love to do and enjoy to do. And then that will set us for the next question.
Right. Especially when you do it in a time where it was so unpredictable. You mentioned COVID, so we didn't even know if tomorrow would exist.
For sure. There was no. My first thought was not, let's open a restaurant during COVID.
Yeah.
It's like, how
that's like the opposite thought you'd want to have.
It was. And that was the intent of Trot, to think day by day. What do we enjoy to do? Well, we enjoy talking about our culture. We enjoy making tortillas. We enjoy talking about where the seeds are coming from, who's harvesting them, what can we make with them. So little things like that start shaping the identity of the restaurant.
Right. So I did do some research, and I know, like, as you said, like corn was such a highlight. So tell me about that, and where does your like love for corn stem from? Obviously your culture, but what makes you want to go more into that way?
It's the fact that when I migrated to the States, I was disconnected with my culture. I had no idea where tortillas were coming from or what a good tortilla was being made from. And the fact that I didn't know any of this knowledge intrigued me and made me more passionate about it. I was kind of almost embarrassed to be Mexican because I had no idea what Mexican cookery or cooking was at that time. So that was a starting point for me. Once I actually started to pay attention and do my research and fall in love with it, with my culture, the rest became very, very easy because it was already in my blood. So making tortillas was second nature to me.
You really went back to your roots, and that's such a cool thing. You know?
Yeah, I spent most of my time working in French kitchens, butter sauces, demi-glace, anything molecular gastronomy, tasting
which
menus.
is like such a big thing right now.
It is, but I wanted to do something that was going to carry me through the next 10 years of my life. And in order
something
to do
more
that,
stable.
and in
evergreen.
order to do that, I had to look back and figure out who I was.
Yeah.
So that's how we started.
Cool. And what is your like mission when it comes to that?
To keep sharing the knowledge. I think more than ever, Mexican food it's being held at a high standard or degree. It's more accessible. It's a lot easier for restaurants like Tatemo to be like, you're coming into a tasting menu restaurant and it's $125 and your last course is going to be a taco. It's more acceptable now than ever. And that I think we play a huge role in that, especially in Houston, being I think one or the fourth tasting menu restaurants in one of the largest cities in America. It just speaks a lot, and what we do here, how we've gone about it, and the work that we've actually done with the community to teach them and teach ourselves.
Education is so important, and I feel like even in this city, there's so many people that originate from Mexico City or South America. And I feel like it's so important to highlight those things. And there's also, like you mentioned, there's so many items that are kind of infused into different tasting menus and different like tapas bars, which is so like in right now too.
No, Mexico's created by a lot of small pieces of other countries. So that's what makes it beautiful.
So what is your philosophy when it comes to new or old cooking techniques, I would say, from your side?
Right now, since we put ourselves in a box of it has to have maize in some form or shape, that's our philosophy. That's how we start dishes. It can be anything we want, but maize has to be represented in the plate. What form? Any form, but it has to be there. Second of all, it has to make sense financially, obviously, because it is a business. We don't have the luxury of purchasing a lot of luxury items, especially with meat prices being so high. They're ridiculously, especially people think that because they're paying $120 that the owner gets $120.
No, it's not like that's a big,
So at the end of the day, it's probably like $80, $85 that I'm allowed to play on my food budget after payroll and
that's a big
expenses
misconception too that people need to understand.
So it's not a lot, $85 to like create 7 courses at a really high standard with the pressure that the restaurant has of being James Beard nominating, Food and Wine, and then all these other accolades that have come along the way. It's not an easy task. But again, it has to have maize, it has to have a story, it has to mean something to us, it has to reflect who we are, how much we've progressed as culinarians in our society, not today's society, and the entire team has to believe in it as well.
Okay, so you mentioned maize. So what is one of the coolest dishes you've ever made with that, or that you have on your menu?
We've done ice creams with it. We infused masa into actual ice cream bases. We've done cakes with masa. We've done, right now we have a play on tortilla, which translates to like Spanish cake in our menu, which is legitimately just plantains pressed into a tortilla. So it doesn't contain maize, but the format and the way you eat something on the tortilla kind of goes back to a taco. And
that's so cool.
And then when you see it, it's a tortilla, but it has no corn. It's just plantains cooked down, and then we play with the starch content and sugar content of the plantain to be able to get a dough to make a tortilla out of it. So it's pretty cool.
That's really cool. Have you submitted any of these dishes into like a competition, Benny sir? I feel like that'd be such a cool thing.
No, I'm not I'm in a whole different stage in my life.
Yeah.
It's more about educating than competing, for sure.
Right. I would like to talk more about your story as an immigrant and just kind of spotlight the hardships and the struggles you endured to get where you are right now.
Being an immigrant in America, it's definitely one of those curses and blessings at the same time. Growing up as an immigrant, you are tested day in and day out. People judge you, people close doors on you, and so on. But it definitely builds you. You build character. You definitely build a sense of grit or grittiness. You're able to withstand challenges. That definitely helped you in your day-to-day life, not even in cooking, just in day-to-day life. Your confidence level becomes higher, stronger. You have to understand that you're always going to be 2 steps behind people as far as society. That's how society perceives you. So trying to catch up and stay focused, stay grounded, stay motivated, and educate yourself as an immigrant. I think that's one of the cool things about feeling left out or feeling misguided, that you understand those adversities, but you're willing to accept the challenge and go with the flow and overcome them.
Yeah, no, I couldn't have said it better, and I couldn't relate to it more. I've always been my dad's girl, and he got to the States when he was super young, and I felt like his struggles like became a part of my identity too, because I was always right there with him at the restaurant, and whatever he was doing, like in the kitchen, and being in conversations that maybe I shouldn't have been, but they've made me who I am at this point. I'm still very young, but I feel like I'm 10 years older than I am mentally, just because of all the things I went through.
And emotionally.
So, yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's such a beautiful thing. It was definitely hard growing up, but now it's probably one of the greatest blessings I've ever had. And I've been in conversations that he wasn't. I used to sit through them because, Dad used to bring me to work every day because there was no other option, right? And if I wanted to see him, I knew I had to be at the restaurant. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to see my dad. Yeah. So after school, that's where I spent all of my time. And being in conversations, seeing a lot of people, like a lot of non-immigrant people trying to walk all over the work he was doing and just kind of not giving him opportunities in the way that he deserved. But he remained so humble throughout that. He carried himself so well, and every no was a bigger reason to fight back even harder. And that kind of was instilled in me, and I'm so proud of like the journey, and I'm so proud of being like coming from an immigrant family too. I feel like the way we're built, there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
And it's such a powerful thing.
It is.
Sure.
It is, and it's something that we should definitely be proud of, and just teach the next generation to be proud of it as well.
Yeah. Your parents, what were they? I know it was difficult for them to kind of see you pursue this path, but was at any point like any of them like supportive of your journey at that time?
I wouldn't say they were supportive. But they're definitely not discouraging either. So it's like a limbo. It's like, I think now seeing the success of the restaurant and seeing how emotionally happy or stable I am, I feel like they're proud of the achievements. But I'm sure if they could have had a hand in my future, they probably would have chose a different life for me. Just because it's so demanding. It's 7 days a week.
It is.
It's sacrifice. It's taking the great and taking the bad. You go to your apartment, you go to your house, and the job comes with you. You can't escape it. Your phone's ringing. You have an interview. Something broke. Something's not coming in. Something's special. Someone important wants a reservation, or someone wants to do a pop-up with you, and you just got nominated for something. So now the restaurant's busting. It's full. Someone call up. So it's just constantly dealing
a
with
constant.
It doesn't stop.
Yeah.
So I don't know if proud is the word, but they definitely like encourage me. They definitely keep me humble. They definitely keep me grounded. They know when I'm with them, we don't talk about the restaurant. It's family time. The restaurant is the restaurant. It's family time. It's how are you emotionally? How are you physically? How are you spiritually, financially? And all the things that we don't really talk about in a restaurant, like that's
for sure.
That's family time.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is that I want people to understand that if you are the owner and you're the chef, no one can really replace you. You know, you got to be on always.
All the time.
All the time. Whether it's employees having trouble, they can't come in, we have to be quick to take their place or find someone who can do that so that you can do what you need to do.
That's challenging.
But yeah, and you can't have someone else talk to an important client for you because they want to hear directly from you, not anybody else.
Yeah. We're extremely happy here. I mean, this year we've definitely promoted within. We have a sous chef in-house. Her name is Michelle. She's super talented. She has definitely helped me balance my personal life with the restaurant life. She's here day to day. I mean, she's pushing. She has pushed to the max. I think each week she averages like 80 hours.
For sure, more than like
a little bit too much.
Yeah.
But I mean, I want to believe that she's up for it. She loves it. She's in love with what she does. She brings a lot of energy with the team, and the team responds very well to her. So
absolutely, and it's so important to have a team, to have your family outside of your family that is kind of helping you run that business and run the show of every day. Otherwise, it's hard to be a one-man show.
Yeah, I learned that the first time. When we opened the restaurant, it was just me and two other people, two front of the house, and then just me cooking in the back by myself.
Yeah.
It wasn't even close to the level of...
you burn out real quick.
Super quick. It wasn't the best food, you know. We definitely had we left a lot of bad impressions on people that were excited that we finally had a space. But again, I was one-man show. You know, there was so much I can do on my own. And just little by little, just start building a team and building team chemistry. And some people came, some people left. But the core values that remain the same, and it's to be one of the best restaurants in the States, and to ensure that we respect each other, respect the vision, and just push. Sacrifice and push collectively.
Yeah, absolutely. And your restaurant was nominated for James Beard. How was that for you? And how did you open up to that? How did you accept that? It must have been.
I cried. I definitely cried. It was definitely one of the coolest moments in my career, in my life ever. To go from selling tortillas at a farmer's market to open a restaurant on your own with very little capital, no one believing in you, people not believing in the side of the city you were on, people not believing that on the format, tasting menu, the price point, the guy with no accolades at the time, who hadn't worked for anybody famous,
no connection,
no nothing. So it was like I told you that I was gonna get it done, and I did it, and I got it done. So it was a great full circle moment for myself. After that, we basically had a team meeting, and we told them that there was no pressure. If they wanted to push with us, amazing, but if they feel like they couldn't handle the pressure, then we understood as well. And the whole team at the time took a vow to actually just push to the max. And that's how we ended up being finalists. We were doing some really long hours. We were really intense with each other. We were holding each other to really high standards. And he made some of them and he broke some of them, but I think that was the day that I realized that I couldn't do it without them. Because if I was anybody else, I would have given them that choice. It would have been like, we have spotlight and we're gonna push, and if you burn out, you burn out. But instead, we all had a meeting. We all asked who wants to push with us. We're not gonna hold it against you. If you don't want to push, we understand there's a lot of pressure. And I was very, very happy that everyone on that team at that time said, yeah, let's push and let's take it as far as we can, and we did.
And that's like such a cool way to allow that opportunity and very exercise the power of teamwork and just see the potential of not only yourself but of your teammates as well.
Yeah, no,
it's a really cool thing.
It was a great learning experience for me too, because there were times where I feel like I was pushing them too much, and it kind of at points felt like it was backfiring on me. But it's a learning experience. It's like a relationship that you have with your spouse. You know, it's a commitment. You have to
nurture it.
You have to nurture it. There's gonna be some uncomfortable and tension in there. There's gonna be uncomfortable conversations. But no, it was a great learning opportunity for me.
Yeah. And what is your vision for the next few years?
Definitely expand. We want to move locations.
Okay.
We definitely want to be able to accommodate more seatings. We don't have a liquor license here because we have a church next door.
Okay.
So now we're BYOB. So definitely moving locations. We want to open a tortilleria to just sell tortillas to the community, to HEB, to Whole Foods. We want to go back into making tortillas more accessible to people, especially low-income people. I don't know, I want to do everything, but nothing at the same time. I want my team now to be more excited about it than me. If that makes sense.
For sure. No, that makes sense. It also gives them a chance to see how far they can go, and
absolutely,
magic can be created along that way.
Yeah.
And it seems like you have so much love to give, and that's such a beautiful thing to see. I'm sure they appreciate that as well.
I hope so.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure they do. I want to give them the opportunities that I didn't get.
Yeah.
For sure.
And we talk about time, how there really isn't a balance in this industry. You can easily lose control of your time. But how do you control your time? Are you able to keep a balance for yourself and make sure that you get some time alone to just process the day-to-day work that you do?
I usually have Sundays, now that we decided to collectively again to close Sunday brunch. We're offering Sunday brunch. There were walk-ins, to-goes. People would come in for 5 hours. It was a great way for the community who couldn't afford $120 tasting menu to come in and still support and still try the different varieties of mazes and the dishes that we were making with them. But again, the team was already coming from a 60, 70, 80-hour week. To have them back here after leaving the space at 1 a.m. on a Saturday night to open 8 o'clock in the morning, it was just not. We starting to see a change in their personas and their demeanors. So we made a decision to have them decide if they want to continue with brunch and push, or they just wanted to close for brunch and have a day out to relax and enjoy time with their family. And they all decided to close for brunch. So at the moment we're not doing brunch, just so the team can get some rest. So that Sunday, I think we're 3 months into this new system, and it's helped me a lot. I get a Sunday to myself. I get to sleep in, do laundry. I go visit my family, my friends, kind of just disconnect. I don't get on Instagram. I try not to open my emails or text anyone. I want to, that one day it's for me to
it's so important.
Nourish me and feel grounded and centered and see what else is out there besides cooking.
It really gives you the push that you need and kind of gives you an extra boost of energy that you can use to fuel the rest of the week.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And then we just, between me and my sous chef, we kind of balance, or we try to balance opening, closing. She'll come in early one day, giving me time to rest, or vice versa. I'll tell her to come in late so I can open so she can rest. So that's also been a huge help, at least personally, to kind of just at least have my morning coffees at peace, not knowing that oh shit, I gotta come and open and get ready.
All right, so now we're gonna go into the kitchen and we're gonna see you cook up all this great food that you've been talking about. You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right,
Follow
let's
me.
go.
Today we'll be making 3 dishes. They are currently on our tasting menu. They are the quesadilla frita, the huitlacoche. We're gonna do an eggplant taco, batter in a masa tempura, and we're gonna feature in an ice cream made from piloncillo with a little bit of mole char just to kind of balance and also celebrate the mole season with the festivities coming up.
Wow. It's so good. I've never had a quesadilla like this before.
No? Like an empanada, almost?
Yeah.
There's different varieties. So the one item that you think you know, each region has its own little version. So to us, that's a Mexico style city quesadilla.
Y'all can find this on the tasting menu here in Houston with Chef Emmanuel. That's so good. You can see the different textures. It's so simple yet so flavorful, super crunchy and super healthy also. So cool.
So at the very bottom, you have a nixtamalized persimmons that are coming into season. Then it's topped off with a little bit of almond cream, tangerines just for some acidity. Then you have an ice cream base with hoja santa that will be transitioned into a piloncillo, which is Mexican sugarcane. And at the very top, Chef Michelle created what we call mole shards or mole cookies. You have the white mole and the black mole.
It's so light, almost like a sorbet. And the cookie, like the spiciness of the cookie, like really kicks in. That's so cool. I love the brown butter, like the texture from the brown butter as well. It's really interesting.